Hi there, second graders. So today you are going to need a couple things. You're going to need some tape, and you want it sticky, but you don't want it to be the stickiest tape you've ever used because we don't want it to, we're going to have to tape on top of our picture, and we don't want it to start to peel off some of our paper or ruin this. So we'll talk about that later. You need your art book paper. We're going to need some sheets from that. We're going to need a black crayon to start. And before we get too far, you also need to have your drawing match your picture. So you have everything where you have it on your picture. Things match. You're happy. Everything's done. And everything should be dry as well. So if you notice right now that you're missing something, you want to glue it on or cut it out and glue it on, but then you want it to sit for a couple hours. So right now, if you're not done with your picture, you got to finish that first, and then maybe the following Wednesday or next, the next, let's say it's Tuesday, glue it down on Wednesday, do the rubbings that I'm going to show you. But you got to make sure everything is dry on here. Okay. So once you have that, you're going to take your drawing, keep it in a safe spot. Make sure that you don't lose that because this is part of your actual project. So I'm going to put this off to the side, keep it safe. And now I'm going to tear out 3 sheets of art book paper. So I like to hold up at the top, grab it up in the corner, and I pull till it tears about halfway. Then I lower this hand, and I pull the rest of it. Notice that I'm pulling out here on this hand, and I'm not like holding by the binding and pulling. I notice a lot of students doing that. That's why I just did the lesson on tearing out a piece of paper. So that's 1. I got to do 2 more. All right. So this I'm going to take, put off to the side as well. And I only need 1 to start. So I'm going to take these other 2 and put them off to the side. All right. So we noticed right away that the background paper is a little bit bigger than the paper from our art book. Okay. So you're going to put it somewhere that gives you kind of your best picture. So if you really like this stuff up here more than you like the stuff at the bottom, well, then you can put it all the way up at the top and in the center. If you need to move over this way a little bit or more over on this side, you can do that too. I'm going to kind of go with right in the middle. So I'm losing a little bit on the bottom and at the top. But I like how that looks there. If you can ever get all the way to an edge, that's going to be nicer for taping purposes. So you either tape up at the top and the bottom, or you can go side to side. Because it touches on this side, I will tape over here, and then I'll tape over on this side. So I have my tape. I'm using masking tape. It's a pretty cheap generic tape, which is not a good thing if you really need it to hold, but it's pretty nice for doing this. So if I put a lot of tape on the top of the paper, that's going to take away from our picture. So I really only want a little bit of tape on the white paper. Okay, so if we zoom in, all right, you can see this is how much I have on the actual paper. The tape starts right here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this around to the back side. Now I'm going to get out of this motion sickness view. Okay, so I have now taped it on the back side, and now I'm going to kind of take my hand and smooth it out, and now put a piece of tape over on this side. Again, I want to get a little bit on the white and a little bit on the background. Okay. The reason we tape it is we want it to stay in place. Okay. So now you're going to want to find a black crayon. Now, if your black crayon looks like this one, right, we want to take the wrapper off because we're going to be using the edge. Okay. You don't want to take the wrapper off this whole crayon though, because the smaller the crayon, the better. So if you're okay with it and you don't have any old crayons, then break it at about this length, okay? And you're gonna wanna peel the crayon. Okay, you'll peel the crayon until it looks like this. Then you are going to place it on your picture, and you want to notice where your background is. We don't want to get crayon on our picture, okay? And so that's really important. You got to slow down when you get to the edges. What we're going to do though is we are going to do a crayon rubbing. So we're pushing down, and you'll notice when you push down, it starts to pick up on all of your edges of your whole picture because we use that thick paper. Okay, so we can kind of do like a light rubbing everywhere. So I'm not pushing very hard. Okay, and what this does, and I want to slow down again when I get to the top or all the way over to the sides, is that light crayon rubbing tells us kind of where everything is. All right, which is important. Now that we did a light crayon rubbing, now we want to push a little harder, and we want to push a little harder and go a bunch of different directions. So just on this one little part, I went down, I went across, okay, and I kept moving my paper around so that I could get these details darker. So if we look at this star right here, this is a good example. I want to go up and down like this. I want to turn it a little bit and turn it a little bit, okay? Because we want to bring those details out, and we want to have the crayon sit on those higher edges. Okay? So again, being careful of my project, not to get crayon on it. By going different directions, it picks up on all of those different edges. Again, wherever there's a star, I push a little harder. But I don't want everything black. Just the edges. To any of my detailed spots. Okay. So you can see that background where there wasn't anything stayed that nice light crayon rub. And then the areas that had more of the, one or two or three different layers, areas that are like 3 layers or 4 layers high with the paper, those are really dark. All right. So that is what you're going to do for the first sheet and the second sheet. Okay. So what I would do then is I would very carefully remove the tape. You can ask an adult for help. I always like to carefully peel it off the paper if it's on an edge. And then sometimes it's easier to remove it when you can fold it and peel it away that way. Okay, we want to take care of this, but we also want to take care of these too. So now with this here, if it tears off some of the parts, that's okay, because that's going to get cut off later on. But you want to be careful with it. Then I'm going to take tape off of this piece. Okay, again, peeling it carefully. All right, so for my second one, I could put it in the exact same spot. I think I had it right about here. Or maybe I want to move it down, or I want to move it all the way up. So you decide, but you're going to do another black and white one. All right, so when you're done with this one, you'll have 2 black crayon rubbings. And then your third one, you're going to do something a little different. So with my third one, I grab my last piece of white paper. Okay, I'm going to put it on here just like I was doing with the black ones. And I liked how it was on that first one. So I'm going to put it back in that spot. Again, I like to kind of flatten it out. Okay. And now with this one, if you love the black and white, you could do 3 black and white ones, or we can bring in some other colors. Again, being careful not to get anything on the actual project. When students have the option to do multiple colors, a lot of times they use more colors than they should, or they'll use darker colors first. So what I'm going to show you is I would personally use lighter colors first to do that lighter crayon rub. So this tells me where everything is. Again, not pushing too hard. Okay. And then you can pick specific areas if you want. So if I wanted to just make this top part blue, I could do that. But with crayon rubbing, it's really hard to like just crayon rub a certain section to like color it in. So I'm more of a, let's just see what this looks like when I use all sorts of colors everywhere. And again, I do a light to dark. And I put them everywhere. And the last one being a purple, being my darkest one. And that darkest color I'll use kind of like I did with the black, making sure I got all of those detail spots. Right. And the longest video ever, but a lot of important details is now done. So I would take the tape off of this one, and when you're all done today, you will have a colored crayon rubbing and 2 black and white crayon rubbings, and you're going to keep all 3 of those safe, because next week we are going to do one last thing with those. Okay, so that is it. Have fun, everyone. Enjoy this. You did a lot of work on this, and this is kind of another way to use that and do something different with it. So enjoy. Bye.